On to more local news, the Department of Meteorology forecasts rain for many parts of the country in the coming days due to an atmospheric disturbance that is developing off the east coast of the island.
The Department of Meteorology predicts that certain areas in the country could receive over 100 millimeters of rain.
On the
20th, the change occurred in the dry winds that blew across the country. Now the winds are carrying water vapor and a turbulence is developing. Due to this turbulence, the north, north central, Uva and eastern provinces, as well as the Hambantota district, could experience more than 100 millimeters of rain.
Due to the inclement weather, all spill gates of the Parakrama Samudra and the main area tank have been opened since yesterday. A total of 985 cubic feet of water is released per second from the 7 spill gates of the Mineria tank. Furthermore, the 12 spill gates of the Kautula tank were also opened yesterday. Vehicular traffic along the Mahiyangane-Polonnaruwa main road was hampered when a bridge in the Theldeniya area collapsed. Meanwhile, earth slips which occurred on the Ampitiya-Dambavila road in Kandy inconvenienced motorists. The Badula District Disaster Management Centre warns that a section of the Narangala mountain located in the Soranathoda Divisional Secretariat area in Badula is facing a risk of landslides. Vehicular traffic on the Pathanawatha road in Badula was also hampered due to an earth slip. Head of the Landslide Studies Unit at the National Building Research Organisation, Geologist RMS Bandara, has requested the public residing on the eastern slopes of the central hills to remain vigilant of landslides. Meanwhile, blue-coloured rain was experienced in the Pattanchur area in Vaunia yesterday. Public health inspectors in the area have sent the particular rain samples for inspection. Meanwhile, yellow rain was experienced in the Arunapura and Dul Damana areas in Aralaganvila.
Meanwhile, a journalist raised a question regarding Sri Lanka domestic worker Rizana Nafeek during the cabinet media briefing held today.
Actually, Rizana said there was no money with her. When the mission asked the Foreign Employment Bureau to send money by the case for Rizana, they said they don't have money.
No, that's a blatant lie. Total lie. Sufficient funds were sent. I'm the one who sent it, so it cannot be the third party, and that's why I know it personally. We sent enough money, not only enough money, finally, His Excellency the President said, I'll give you a blank check if they are talking of blood money. Right? They went up to that extent, which I'm disclosing now since you asked this.
I read the letter. A photocopy is sent from the mission to the Foreign Employment Bureau asking money to pay the lawyer.
Correct. So you have the copy of
and the reply was from the SLFB to the mission saying you don't have money.
No, tell me, show me, I will accept it. Yes.
Minister Kehlia Rambukwala also revealed the measures which were taken by the government to secure the release of Rizana Nafeek.
Because there was no question of funding the money because we were all out. We had lawyers. In fact, Mr. Hussain Maila flew there personally, and then they went through the whole district. The lady belongs to a tribunal. We went and met the tribunal leaders there to convince these tribunal leaders. The king went personally, appointed a team of lawyers, lady lawyers, to do counseling on this particular lady, to agree to blood money. We did all that. But again, what happened her, as you now question me, I'll tell you, her intention was that there was a lot of publicity criticizing this lady, saying that the fault lies with her for leaving a baby to be looked after by another baby. Right? And that made her to be adamant. They're thinking that if she accepts the money and then it will come on her again saying that she accepted the money and gave it, and that is why she was It was again, unfortunately, I have to say, it was the media that really said it up at that point.
Views were also expressed at the cabinet media briefing on the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting scheduled to be held in Sri Lanka.
සමුළුව මේ ලංකාවේ පැවැත්වෙන එක සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ රාජතාන්ත්‍රික වශයෙන් රජය මොනවාරි පියවර අරන් තියෙනවද?
පොදු රාජ්‍ය මණ්ඩලය
ලංකාවේ පැවැත්වෙන එක සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ වෙනකොට මේ රජය මොනවාරි රාජතාන්ත්‍රික වශයෙන් පියවර අරන් තියෙනවද සමුළුව සම්බන්ධයෙන්?
ඒ කියන්නේ මට තේරෙන්නේ රාජතාන්ත්‍රික සමුළුවක් තමයි ඒක.
ඒක කමලෙන් ශර්මා රොබ්‍රෝල් එනවා කියලා තියෙනවා CG කිසුවේ කියලා
නෑ ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකක් ඉෂු කරලා තියෙනවා නමුත් මේ සගම් එක ගැන එහෙම නැත්නම් සම්මේලනය ගැන කතාවක් කියලා නෑනේ.
ඒ චෝදනා කරනවා මේක පැවැත්වෙන්නේ නැද්ද කියන අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා කියලා.
ඔව් නමුත් එහෙම අපිට නිල වශයෙන් ප්‍රකාශයක් අපිට කරලා
තීරණයක්.
Meanwhile, the Cabinet of Ministers has decided that only women who have completed 25 years of age can seek employment in Saudi Arabia as domestic workers. Speaking at the Cabinet media briefing held today, Minister Kaelia Rambukwella noted that female domestic workers who travel overseas for employment should complete 21 days of residential training.
The Cabinet of Ministers has decided to impose several conditions for female domestic workers seeking employment overseas. Domestic workers seeking employment in Saudi Arabia should complete 25 years of age, while a minimum age of 23 has been set for those seeking employment in other Middle Eastern countries. Meanwhile, a minimum age of 21 years has been set for domestic workers seeking employment in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Cyprus and other countries. The Cabinet of Ministers has also decided that domestic workers travelling to Saudi Arabia must complete 21 days of residential training and obtain a NVQ Level 3 certificate for domestic housekeeping assistant. The Cabinet of Ministers decided to impose these conditions based on a proposal forwarded by Minister of Foreign Employment, Promotion and Welfare, Dylan Pereira.
Time now for Action TV.
The National Aquatic Resource Research and Development Agency, or NARA, postponed for a second time today the distribution of a portion of the profits it earned from the provision of consultancy services for the Colombo Port Expansion project among its employees. The decision to first pay out the dividends on Tuesday was taken at an extraordinary meeting of the NARA Board of Directors the day before. The writing of cheques paying these dividends took place the same day and continued until midnight. However, the paying out of dividends on Tuesday was postponed at the last minute because the financial head of NARA was unable to provide a clear response to questions raised by a group of employees regarding the manner in which the dividends had been accounted. The task of correcting the accounting process was conferred yesterday upon the individual recruited as a finance director of NARA on a 3-month contract on Monday. Accordingly, preparations were made to distribute the dividends today, but the process was postponed once again at the last minute, but this time around due to protests raised by the finance head of NARA. Meanwhile, when the amended audit report submitted by the NARA's internal audit on the 8th of this month was reviewed, it showed that the revenue NARA earned through the consultancy service contract in question and the manner in which it was spent could still not be determined concretely. While the internal auditor of NARA has not swayed in amending his original report dated the 20th of December last year as per the board's wishes, the amount which NARA has listed as profits from the project in question, a staggering 45,514,561 rupees, was accounted without presenting a correct expenditure statement. The internal auditor, who noted in his original report that he had not been provided the expenditure vouchers for the project in question, notes in his amended report that he had received some of the vouchers later on. According to the internal auditor's amended report, the vouchers he had not received even later on accounts for over 2.5 million rupees. At the same time, the vouchers he had received show that the vouchers accounting for more than 1.3 million rupees were for direct expenses borne throughout 2012. However, the auditor himself has affirmed that the contract for the project in question expired on the 31st of December 2011. The internal auditor has hence failed to even raise the simple question as to how vouchers for direct expenses borne in 2012 could be presented for accounting for a contract which expired in 2011. However, he has seen it fit to draw his own conclusions. This is evident in the fact that he says in his amended report that, quote, it cannot be concluded that any sort of financial fraud has taken place, unquote.